I want to talk to you about you. You probably talk about your kids all the time. You probably answer questions of your kids, with your kids. You may have your kids hanging off of you right now as you're watching this. But I want to talk about you. And I want to talk about going to school. A lot of you used to have a dream about what your life would be, and now it's not what you thought it would be. So who God created you to be is still who you are, no matter what your circumstances are. So I want to talk about several things today, and three main things is dreaming, exploring, and planning when it comes to going to school for the first time or going back to school after you've had kids. So the first thing is I want you to dream. I want you to think about who you are, and I want to know if you even remember who you are. I know that you're a mom right now, but you are more than that. You will always be the little girl that you were, and when you were staring at the sky thinking about your life and thinking about what you were good at, and when people told you what you were good at, I want you to remember that. And that can be the basis of which you start to explore and plan for your career. One thing you can do when exploring is you can find a profession to fit your dream. You may not think that you can go back to school for a long time. You may not have the money to go back to school for a long time, but you can be in the wheelhouse of your dream. You can be in the ballpark of your dream, and maybe not go to school for 8 years. Maybe you can find a degree that is 4 years or 2 years that fits in with who you are and what you want to do. So one of the hard things when you dream and plan and explore is, and when you start thinking about who you are, you may not want to ask the people closest to you who you are. Sometimes we're harder on our family members, we're harder on the people we live with, and those people are harder on us. Go to some objective people, go to some former teachers and say, do you remember me? What am I good at? And you can say, I remember that you were good with people. I remember that you were good at math. I remember that you were good at writing. And you can start to kind of resurrect and heal those parts of you that you really loved about yourself sometimes long ago. So when you're exploring, find a profession to fit your dream. There are websites upon websites upon websites that tell you what you're good at, that tell you what your gifts are, tell you what your spiritual gifts are, and learn how to use those gifts to make money and better your life and better your kids' lives. Another thing you need to think about is the type of degree that you want. Not everyone needs to go to school for 12 years to be successful. There are associate's degrees that are 2 years, there are bachelor's degrees that are 4 years, master's degrees, doctorate degrees, there are all sorts of things. And when I was a single mom, I got 3 degrees, but I did not get them right in a row. I got 2 degrees, and then I worked for a long time, and then I went back and got a 3rd. I also have a friend who worked in the fall and went to school in the spring. Every fall she would work, every spring she would go to school. And it took her almost 8 years to get her bachelor's degree, which is a 4-year degree, but she had it and she didn't have any debt from school. So going in the direction of your dream and exploring the types of degrees that you can get and the types of plans that you can have will be very beneficial. Another thing when you really start to explore and really start to plan is to apply for financial aid early. There is a pot of money and everybody wants some. So you need to get in line first and be one of the first people who they hand money to. As a single mom, many of you will qualify for some type of grant that you don't have to pay back. Almost all of you will qualify for at least a loan. And if you choose a school that's not very expensive and you choose a degree that doesn't take very long, then it's doable to borrow just a little bit of money and go to school. As you're exploring, you need to think about possible schools. You may have grown up rooting for the football team of one school, but that doesn't mean you need to go to school there. You may go to school at a place where you've never heard of. I work at a school that I had never heard of until I was an adult, and I love it. It's good, it's great. I love the students, I love my job, I love my classes. So you don't Some of the dreaming part that you need to do is about yourself and not about that you thought you were going to wear a certain color and live in a certain dorm. Because those things may not be possible, but you can still have the dream of being who you are and pursuing what you want. So when you look at possible schools, there are lots and lots of websites that you can go to. You can type in Oklahoma schools in Google and you'll get a lot of returns. And you can search for types of degrees, types of certificates, types of programs, so all sorts of things that you can just do some searching on your own. You can also talk to people. Talk to people who are single moms and say, I know that you went to school, how did you do it? Another thing is to go to the school. Physically go to the school. There may be an idea that you have, I think I want to go to this school, I feel like I need to go to this school, and you get there and you just don't like it. You don't like how it feels to be on the campus, you don't like how long it takes you to park, you don't know where the buildings are. So being emotionally and physically comfortable at a place is really important. And it's just, we all have had jobs that we go to that we hate. We hate walking in the door, we hate walking from the parking lot, we hate the space that we're in, the cubicle we're in, we don't like the smacking that's going on next to us. Being physically and emotionally comfortable in a space is important. So go to a school, sit down in an empty classroom, look at the place where you would eat lunch, look at the bookstore, look at all of the library and all of those things that you would be surrounded by on a daily basis, and ask questions. A lot of students look on the website, look for some stuff, they talk to a couple people, and then that's it. Make a list of questions. You're like the consumer. When you go and buy something, you ask questions about it. If you're doing the same thing, if you're paying for an education, or if someone's paying for it for you, ask questions. Ask, this is what I want to do with my life. What types of degrees do you have? How long is this going to take me? What does it cost? How much is it going to cost to pay for books? What can I do with this degree or this career? And is there another one that's similar that's not as expensive? Can I do just about the same thing for a shorter time period? There are lots of degrees that you can do a lot with a degree that requires a master, or a career that requires a master's degree, but there's also something in that career that you could do with an associate's degree, which is a 2-year degree. You could get that, you could work for a while, and then you could decide to go back to school if you want to. The last thing that I want to talk about is planning. When you are making a plan, when you have decided, when you are looking at schools, when you've applied for financial aid, when you know what, you have more things on your list and more things that are concrete, don't forget who you are. If you are not a morning person, don't take an 8 o'clock class. You won't go and you will be late and it will be miserable for you and everyone else. Know who you are, know what kind of energy level you have, know what kind of study schedule you can have, and don't take 12 hours because someone told you need to take 12 hours. You are the person who's going to school. If you can only take 3 hours at a time, take 3 hours at a time. If you think you can take an online class, go for it. Some people can't. So don't forget who you are when you are making a specific plan about going back to school. The next thing is choosing a very specific school. So after you have explored your options about schools, you've visited some schools, you've asked some questions, you've talked to people, that's when you need to talk specifically to a school about, this is the financial aid package that I have, what will this get me? And how long can I go to school for this amount of money? Is it feasible that I can actually get a degree without getting tons of debt? Find childcare. This is something that we tend to put off until the last second because it's just a pain and it's expensive and we hate leaving our kids. But finding childcare first and then creating your schedule, I think is ideal. A lot of schools have on-site childcare. The school where I teach has it's called student scheduled childcare, and you pay in a 4-hour block and you can go to school, your child can be on campus with you, you drop the child off, and then you go to classes. So a lot of schools have resources for single moms, and that's another thing you need to ask when you're asking questions. What resources do you have for single moms? Every college, every university has a student services office, and they help students with a variety of things, and single moms are someone that a lot of schools cater to. So finding childcare and enrolling early is important. If you enroll late, you're going to get stuck with the 8 o'clock class that no one else wants, or the 8 p.m. class, which is even worse. So enrolling early, knowing your childcare, knowing how far away the school is. There may be a school that's a lot cheaper that's 45 minutes away, but then you have to pay for more childcare and more gas, and you have to eat your lunch at school. And so figure all those things in when you are choosing a school, when you're budgeting your money. A cheaper school may mean different things. A more expensive school that's 5 minutes away from your house may actually be cheaper in the long run. So after you find childcare, enroll early, set a budget, then it's time to call in the favors. All of those people that you know who say, hey, if you ever need anything, let me know. Call them and say, hey, I need something. So when I was a single mom in college, I called in favors. I had some people who, of course, said, hey, if you need anything, let me know, and then they weren't serious. But I did have some people who really did want to help, and they didn't know what to do. So I called some of them and I said, I need someone to pick up my child on Thursday afternoon after school and keep him until 5 o'clock. And one of my family members said, great. That person was dependable, and she picked up my son every Thursday afternoon, and I could go to class just a little bit longer on that day, and that was really helpful. You may have people that want to help. Hey, if you need any help with your tuition, let me know. Call them and say, I have an $80 textbook I need to buy. Can you help me? They may say no. That's fine. And another thing, when you're calling in favors and asking for help, the people closest to you may not be the most emotionally supportive, especially if everyone in your family has not gone to college, if all of your friends are not going to college, if they're barely making it and they're only going to barely make it their whole lives. They may have a little bit of resentment. They may not know what to do with you if you are pursuing your dreams. So you don't have to look in your inner circle to ask for help. You may have someone at your church, you may have a former teacher, you may have someone who's sort of a friend that you don't know that well, but who could provide a lot of emotional support, a lot of just support about can we swap play dates, and you keep kids on a Tuesday morning and I keep the kids on a Thursday morning. I know some people who've done job sharing like that. I know a couple people who they were both dependable. They knew each other really well. They kept each other's kids while they went to school. They had opposite schedules, and one of them kept the kids while one went to school, and they swapped, and then they did the opposite. So when you're dreaming about who you are and what you want, it's easy to think about the reasons not to do something. If going to school were easy, everyone would have a degree, but it's hard. And as a single mom, what I learned is if I didn't go to school, my life would always be hard. So my life was hard, and now it's easier. I went to school, I can pay my mortgage, not even rent, I can pay a mortgage now. I can buy gas for my car, I can do all the things that don't buy happiness, but sure do help a lot with just the stress of living. And then we started out talking about who you are, but I want you to also think about who you want your children to be. Do you want, if they were in this position, would you want them going to school? Of course you would. So treat yourself like you would treat other people who you love. So good luck. There are lots of resources. Look up my email on the website and send me an email and let me know how you're doing.